cans. Everybody stay away from the cans. Yes, this is Shane Bedingfield, also known as the Texas Torque Wrench throughout the world, the world-renowned wrestler. Coming to you live again on part 2 of the wrestling / racing connection. Yesterday I discussed that wrestling and racing got hot together. At the same time, Mid-Atlantic was getting hot. NASCAR was getting hot. And then as they got smoldering hot, both companies and both genres generated a lot of money together, had basically the same fan base. They learned from each other on how to make money. I mean, I haven't 100% confirmed this, but I know anybody who does research in the entertainment business knows that Humphrey Wheeler was pretty much eyeballing what the Ringling Brothers / Vince McMahon Sr. / Jim Crockett was doing. Plus, everybody in the state of North Carolina and South Carolina is a big fan of Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. We're going to the pay window, baby. That's what Humphrey Wheeler was thinking whenever he was seeing the stuff that they were doing. That's how come he turned around and did the stuff at the Charlotte Motor Speedway leading up to the All-Star race, which is the biggest which was the greatest event in NASCAR. Sorry, as I'm recording this, some of the Glow Girls, Patricia Summerlin, sent me a message, congratulating me on my first little episode of it. So she's out there in California and she got a pop out of it. One of the Glow Girls, where Tina Ferrara of Ivory came from. So, alright, now, today's topics on part 2 of this series. Now, unless you were living in a cave or you've been in a Hindu monastery, I know, get ready, here it comes, wait for it. Unless you were living in a cave or in a monastery or in a seminary somewhere, you saw what Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, and the WWE did whenever they partnered up. They let Kyle come in and Joey come in and basically open Raw, be celebrity guest host. And you saw the pop they get, the famous burnout. Everybody in the country saw it. It was on TV Monday night right after Kyle Busch had one of his great runs that he's known for putting together on a consistent basis. WWE, when this happened, this very rarely happens in a marketing partnership with NASCAR, unless it was Kevin Harvick doing one of his one-off deal sponsorship in the Nationwide Series. But this made the WWE and JGR come together, and it looked like they gelled together. The stars aligned. It was perfect. It was divine what they did. It was divine. They formed their partnership, and through a strike, it was just unbelievable. That very rarely gets done in a marketing partnership with NASCAR. You get a huge pop on Monday night, they come back and they win the races with the WWE painted all over the car. I mean, that just very rarely works. I'm telling you, I've seen it time and time again in NASCAR. And that's just showing you, that's whenever, okay. That's just showing you whenever Vince McMahon, whenever he does it, does his show, he wants the best guys that he can have doing his stuff. So that shows you what happens whenever a perfect partnership comes to life. So on to the Bob Holly deal. Okay, Bob Holly went on kayfabe commentaries. You know, he's sitting there wearing a Hoosiers racing hat. And he's basically showing that he's a fan of NASCAR and racing. His gimmick was sort of built around it. And he's known for being a hard case, being a rough and tough guy. He could probably be a front tire changer right now, or a tire carrier for a NASCAR pit crew team right now, if it came right down to it. So you got that. You got that connection. Then for all you wrestling historians, back during the Monday Night Wars, you had the WCW card, which was part of the Monday Night Wars. NASCAR had their little piece in the Monday Night Wars, with Steve Grissom, the driver, Sting, and Diamond Dallas Page all used to come and sit in the crew with them. You had everything there. You had everything there. So, you can see where I'm going with this. The demographics have matched up for years. I've said once, and I've said many times, that that a guy setting up in Boone, North Carolina on a Sunday would be watching a race, a Sprint Cup race, then turn around on Monday night, be watching Raw, and on Thursday night, be watching SmackDown. And so, right there it is. There's the argument right there. Announcers at the NASCAR home tracks all across the country, they live for the drama whenever something happens. And they can build a story. And I'm talking the smaller tracks. When I say NASCAR home tracks, the story building process is the same. There's no getting around it. You know, and speaking of stories, how about, you know, we got something brewing in Carolina right now. Carolina's on the verge. The Carolina Panthers are on the verge of doing something they've never done. This is possibly their best position they've had in a long time to do something in the playoffs that's worth talking about. And it's to the point right now, if they don't win the Super Bowl, they're going to sort of go down as being known as big-time underachievers this year. There's no denying it. They got possibly, I'm going to give Cam Newton a little bit of props, they got possibly the best athlete in the league, excluding J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt, pound for pound, is the best athlete in the league. There's no denying it. So, everything's there for the great storyline, storybook ending, which leads into what I was saying about the NASCAR home tracks, telling the story as it develops, giving the fans something to talk about on a week-by-week basis, which has basically been done in the wrestling business since Farmer Burns, since Strangler Lewis. It all ties there together. The entertainment business feeds off of each other. There's no denying it. So, which leads me into, speaking of commentators, Hermie Sadler, the race day host. He's the guy that's always interviewing people on a weekly basis in NASCAR Friday night when they're doing the show. Him and Larry Mack and others are doing the trackside show, getting down, getting to know the drivers. But you got everything there. It's the same story. They're telling the same story. The rivalries keep it going. If you ever notice in NASCAR, whenever there's no rivalries, you have nothing to talk about. Only thing you got is a week by week basis. The fans live for the rivalries, and then it comes back to the old WWE storyline telling that gets done on a basically show by show basis. The pit reporters and everything, they always make accusations at the WWE, saying this is wrestling with cars. And I've talked about Madhouse before on my show. Madhouse was possibly the best kept secret on the History Channel. So you had that. You got that. You got Hermie Sadler. Now you got Double J, Jeff Jarrett coming in, forming this company. Everybody knows in the Carolinas that Hermie Sadler used to deal with the Hardy Boys from Cameron, North Carolina. He was a mark/fan for the wrestling business. So along the way, he got involved with the Hardy Boys. His kids loved it. It was like an outlet. So whenever he wasn't racing, they have somewhere else to go. Then he formed and turned around and formed a partnership, acting vice president of Global Force Wrestling. The press releases were made. Hermie Sadler was in a key position with that company that's doing a lot of stuff with New Japan Wrestling. So, you see where I'm going with this? It's all over the place. They all, Monday night at Raw showed that there's still a lot of partnerships that can be formed. Every time I went to Mooresville, North Carolina, I talked to the Wounded Warrior people on their dirt late model team. They wanted me to start getting a hold of some wrestling people. The only deal is whenever you form a partnership like that, you got to throw a strike. Because if you don't throw a strike and you don't run up front, it hurts the wrestling business a little bit, because you don't want to be on a late model car. You want to be getting national exposure. You want that face of that company to be seen in a winning driver. And I was a little bit nervous about it at the time, because it was just you jump through the hoops to get somebody attached to somebody, and in the business world, not everything comes together picture perfect, but on that deal it has to work. Because when you're, like say, having it in the middle of the Monday Night Wars, which was what Steve Grissom in the WCW car was doing back in the day, you start coming into that deal where the cost analysis basis of, is it worth the ride? Is it worth all the hoopla to get behind somebody? And as you can see in the Monday Night Wars, who won that battle? Vince McMahon prevailed because he was the establishment. He basically did what gets done across in the nightclub business in every major city in the world. Whenever two rivalry nightclubs come together and they're fighting over the same clientele, eventually somebody is going to spend their money out and go belly up, and then one guy's going to have the monopoly on the whole show. That's just not in the nightclub business. That's everywhere. That's oil field. That's everywhere. Energy drinks. It's just like an energy drink deal. Red Bull. Red Bull basically owns that game, and Monster's number 2. There's no denying it. Red Bull is the establishment. Red Bull's had their piece in NASCAR too. Almost everybody in the wrestling business drinks energy drinks on a daily basis. So, you got that. You can see where the demographics mirror each other. They're there. There's no denying it. So, and plus that, you got kids watching. This is where the WWE has UFC right where they want them, especially after that stupid quote that Conor McGregor made, bringing religion into the fight circle. I hate to say it, but Dana White has just got through. Well, the coffin building process has started for Dana White and the UFC. He cannot keep on booking dirtbags like that. It's over. You heard it here. You heard it here. See, NASCAR and the WWE. If you follow Natalia Neidhart at all, she says pretty much daily that she's a role model, even though she comes across like a supermodel at times. But her, Ashley Flair / Charlotte, they know that they're in a role model position. That's where the UFC will always be different. It almost if you wanted to cut down on fights in school, you could almost tell the kids stop watching UFC. Because the fan basis of the UFC is a little bit older crowd, a little bit more crazier of a crowd. It's been that way forever. The Aryan race were the first marks of the UFC, and the WWE has never ever came across on a surreal moment where they wanted to come up. They didn't want that fan base. They were shooting for the kids. The WWE was shooting for the kids from the get-go. Sort of like when that gets back to the demographics matchup. You remember the NASCAR commercials where they show the NASCAR home tracks where the guy's carrying his little boy around? That's what NASCAR and the WWE represent. And now after Conor McGregor saying what he said, the wood's getting ready for the coffin to be made. It's basically over. And if WWE has any kind of PR department whatsoever, they will jump on that, and they will jump on that hard, which is basically going to lead me into another show in the next couple of days about Vince McMahon and Triple H and Stephanie being afraid to drop the hammer down on Dano. And now they got it. They got him right where they want him now. They can win the pay-per-view war off this, because the only thing they have to say is, you want your kids watching this? Our fan base is just like NASCAR's fan base. We want the prayer-saying kids. We want the bottom and eating kids to watch us. We want the kids who don't believe in bullying everybody around. Even though, I want to say this, NASCAR needs their bullies out on the track, just like WWE needs their bullies in the ring, because the heels bring the heat, and the heat keep the story going, the heat draw the money. You got to have people jumping people in wrestling. If not, you cannot build a story off two good guys wrestling. It just doesn't work. It may work one night, but it won't work night in and night out. It just won't happen. It just won't happen. It's got to come across like it's a war. And NASCAR does a great job, and you can tell where they stole from WWE when they run at Martinsville on, survival of the fittest. Because that Martinsville, Bristol, Texas Motor Speedway, because it's so fast, Talladega and Daytona, those are basically survival of the fittest tracks, a lot like a lot like the Survivor Series, a lot like the Royal Rumble coming up. It's all there. I'm telling you, the fan base is identical. You know, I've said it twice so far, and I'm going to say it again because I want this point to be driven across to all my loyal fans listening out there. We're picking up. My fan base is picking up now. I'm a promotion machine. Everybody knows I'm a promotion machine. I am the internet. But my fan base is going to hear me say it again. That the demographics are the same. The same guy sitting in Hickory and gal sitting in Hickory, North Carolina on a Sunday, watching the race, going to the Hickory Motor Speedway on a weekly basis is the same guy watching Raw on a weekly fan basis. I mean, he's part of the weekly fan base of Raw. It's there. Same thing down in Atlanta, Georgia. Hotlanta, as Larry Mack says, it's all built around there. Hotlanta has been known for being a great wrestling town for years. Just like whenever the mastermind of masterminds, Kevin Sullivan, the genius of geniuses, booked the Hulk Hogan turn, he didn't book it in a town that was quiet. He booked it down in Daytona Beach, Florida, where everybody knows that's the home of the Daytona 500, the Pepsi 400, possibly the second greatest show under lights that NASCAR does. He booked it there because Daytona is known for having nightclubs and bars all around the arena. They're rowdy people. Trust me, I've been to that town. The Texas Torque has done that town. Texas Torque Wrench has done their town, got the t-shirt. Got a little chrono knowledge along the way of some ladies and down in Daytona Beach, Florida. My kind of women down in Daytona Beach, Florida. The demographics are the same. There's no denying it. So you see the story that I've told through this. We started back in the 80s talking about Mid-Atlantic. Mid-South, you could throw Mid-South into there too because Bristol, Tennessee and Memphis and Nashville all had tracks there. NASCAR tracks there. Nashville used to put on one hell of a show there. So, you got everything there. You got all the fans. The demographics are the same. You got Bill Watts doing his thing. You got Jim Cornette and the boys showing from Midnight Express on a daily basis. The NASCAR fans see that. The NASCAR boys, the drivers and everybody, the commentators see what they're doing at in Mid-South with Bill Watts, Lance Russell and the boys, Bill Dundee, Jamie Dundee, the PG-13 boys, Wolfie D, the Rock and Roll Express. It's all there. The Rock and Roll Express bounced around, which brings me to Smoky Mountain. Smoky Mountain run out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Another place where they go and run the World of Outlaws. But and that there's some of the best racing there is. You got, there is the crossovers there. The demographics match up. Rednecks love wrestling. Texas Torque, I turned into a racing fan back in the 90s, back during the Mr. September runs. Whenever Morgan Shepherd won the gas mileage race from Atlanta, with Eddie Wood calling the shots. I've been a big fan of Glenn Jarrett for years. One of the best pit commentators there is. There's what made me want to come to the Carolinas, was that down home feeling. The live music that goes on that all ties it all together. Down in Hickory, North Carolina, all the live bands, Billy Jones and the boys. You got Mitch Clark there, the radio DJ, one of the mouths of the South, Chad Triplett. He's on there all the day. All the girls from Happy Valley, which make the Carolinas so cool. Heather Setzer and the girls. some of the prettiest girls I've ever seen come from the Happy Valley, North Carolina. I don't know what they do. They have something in the water there. It's unbelievable. On a per capita basis, they almost compare to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And I mean, it all ties together. You got all the huge demographics of people that basically watch the same three things over and over. All the football fans, all the NASCAR fans, the NASCAR boys talk about the games they watch. Kyle Busch, avid sports fan, and the real sports fans, they watch anything that involves a lot of physical motion. They turn around and watch wrestling. That vibrates through the fans. Next thing you know, you got the crossover. The same people. I'm saying it again. The same people watching on Sunday are watching on Monday, and on Thursday night. Then that ties in TNA as well, and now Global Force Wrestling. Hermie, Sadler, and Jeff Jarrett's going to tie it all together again. You know, there's just so much there. And I'm going to re-emphasize because this is an advertisement for probably my next two shows. Vince McMahon, here's your chance. Go after Dana White. Dana White's burying a hole for himself by putting this Conor McGregor over. You can win the pay-per-view war. Here's your chance to beat a babyface. The billionaire versus billionaire again. You versus Dana White. Go get him. Go get him, son. Go get him. Dana White has absolutely painted himself into a corner. If Conor McGregor actually said that he could beat Jesus, and he said it in such an arrogant way that if the WWE's PR department doesn't go after him, the WWE almost needs to shut their doors in because that dog won't fight. Which is an old racing saying, whenever they have a hard time getting a car to run up front, and they done everything to it, that dog won't fight. But Vince McMahon, here's your chance. You are the establishment. You were in the pay-per-view business long before the UFC. Go get him, son. He's there. Only thing you have to do is sick the dogs after him. Look for him to say something wrong again. I've been part of that little crazy MMA versus wrestling deal whenever I was in Amarillo, Texas. It's a soft rivalry, but everybody knows it's there. With the whole Ken Shamrock deal, what he said about Dana White, and what everybody's said something crazy about Dana White. It makes you think that he's got horns on him, a lot like what people used to say about Vince, but I think Vince has sort of sparked up a little bit over time, realized that you can't book crazy stuff night in and night out and expect to hold a consistent fan basis, which goes back to NASCAR and the demographics. To hold that demographics, it's got to be controlled. Brian France and the boys do an excellent job of holding the crowd. So in the Speed Network, some of my social media friends at Speed, we're coming down closing to the show for the day. This great sunny Thursday in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And I wish you guys all a good day, and I'll hit you back up on another subject.